Among the most modern speedways in American motorsports, Kansas Speedway first opened its gates in 2001, about 15 miles west of Kansas City, under the ownership of International Speedway Corporation. The facility was originally built as a 1.5-mile tri-oval with 15 degrees of banking, but a major repave and reconfiguration in 2012 transformed the track into the high-speed, multi-groove battleground drivers tackle today. Progressive banking ranging from 17 to 20 degrees. The Speedway complex also features a challenging 6-turn road course that blends a winding infield section with nearly the entire oval. Just outside the front stretch sits the Hollywood Casino at Kansas Speedway, while the grandstands overlook one of the Midwest's premier racing facilities. Over the years, Kansas has welcomed a wide range of competition from the NASCAR Cup Series, NASCAR O'Reilly Series, and Craftsman Trucks, all the way to IndyCar and the ARCA Menards, major sports car championships over the years. Tonight, the high banks of Kansas are ready once again. The lights are on, the engines are fired, and the stars of stock car racing are ready to put on a show. Tonight, it's the Kansas 201, presented by Coles County Speedway, and it's next on Track Limits Network. Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the virtual Kansas Speedway, the IROC Challenge Series Season 11, the Kansas 201. Race details tonight, 143 laps, the ultimate distance, 85% fuel on board, 2 tire sets available over the wall, no fast repairs, 3 attempts at a green-white checkered finish. Let's hope we don't need them, but hey, if we do, that just means more racing. Practice and qualifying already in the books. Warm-up session about to be wrapped up. A couple of minutes or so remaining here. Let's take a look at the fast times so far. The 27 of Casey Bentz, the quick time at 30.495. And it's Andrew Williams, TJ Majors, Carson Quapple, and Dylan Pettis. Hopefully I'm saying that right. Eric Hennig, Kevin McCann, Steve Durbin, Todd Kleek, Devin Aker, the current top 10. Get the pleasantries out of the way here. Let's take a look at the sponsors for this season. Fast Laps, Open Hearts, of course. Meff's Shirt Shop, Coles County Speedway, the title sponsor of tonight's race. R&R Racewear, Johnston Timbers LLC, 3 Wide with DJG, Charity Motorsports, and Care for Kids. Looking down the schedule for the rest of this season, we're still on a tape delay. This race actually ran last night, so we're going to broadcast it on the next Wednesday, which is tonight, of course. That's going to be the case until the end of this month. I believe the 31st of March, the Windy City 225 Chicagoland Speedway will be back Track Limits live broadcasting and should remain so for the balance of the season, barring any conflicts with travel schedules with the day job. Just about a minute left in this session before the black and red flags drop down at the flag stand. So Casey Bentz may get out of this warm-up session as the fastest. 47 cars attempted to make the field here tonight. I believe actually 48 cars. Only going to take 40 of them tonight. Chris Wally working on some of those policies and procedures here in the IROC Challenge Series to make sure that even the drivers that don't make the race still accrue some points. I think that update was made in the IROC Discord as recently as today. But that'll do it for the warm-up, and we're not going to waste any time. We'll get right into our starting grid here in just a moment and get this race underway. So let's take a look at it, our starting grid. On the pole position with a lap time of 30.405 seconds, it's the number 29 of Christian Strader, flanked by the 6 of TJ Majors, missed it by 20 thousandths of a second. Row number 2, it'll be Brian McCann and Kevin McCann, a brotherly love or brotherly shove in the second row. Mike Koch and Dylan Pettis will start in row number 3. Row 4 is Chuck Sweeting and Evan Vecchia. Row number 5, the Track Bar Motorsports driver of Zach Millett and Gavin Hinson. Starting in the 11th position, it's Jason Niles. 12th goes to Casey Bentz. Further down the line, 13th, John Cofield will be 13th. Steve Durbin, 14th. Carson Quapple in the 5 will roll off in the 15th position. James Connolly in the 61 will start 16th. 17th starter, it's Josh Funkhauser. Tim Schofield in the 18th position. Brandon Mefford from Charity Motorsports will roll 19th. William Tyndall, 20th. In the 21st position, it's the 15 of Marty Lindley. Devin Aker will start 22nd. 23rd, Kyle Campbell. 24th starter, Andrew Williams. 25th, Daniel Dixon. 26th, Cameron Brownlow. Adam Pettit will roll off 27th. Chris Mefford, 28th. Kyle White will start 29th. Chris Wally, 30th. 31st starter, it's Kyle Hardy. Zachary Kleek, 32nd. Eric Hennig will start 33rd. Kyle Pendergraph, 34th. Neil Quick, 35th. Stoney Benfield, 36th. Peter Ruzick, 37th. 38 starters, Garrett Johnston, Brent Butler, 39th, and Chris Quick will roll off in the 40th and, I believe, final position on the starting grid. The rest of the drivers in the lineup there, Matt Kopp, William Reams, Josh Mears, Adam Benefiel, Shane Haas, Doug Wysocki, Todd Kleek did not make the show here tonight. Field out onto the Speedway. About to get things underway here at Kansas Speedway. Again, 143 laps will be the ultimate distance tonight. 85% fuel on board. 2 sets of tires over the wall. No fast repairs. 0 zip zillage. 3 attempts at a green-white checkered finish as the pace car heads to pit lane, and we're ready to get things underway from Kansas Speedway. The Kansas 201, presented by Coles County Speedway, is underway. Majors and Strader side by side out of turn number 2, but Majors will take the advantage as they roll into turn 3. Now a side-by-side battle with Kevin McCann in the 33 and Strader still in the 29. Man, you got to put a Reese's Peanut Butter Cup on the hood of that machine. It looks just like an old Kevin Harvick scheme. But coming back to the line, Majors will lead lap number 1. Top 5, top 6, 7 really singled out, single file here. A little bit of a battle in behind them. Zach Millett to the inside, trying to work his way forward. He's up 2 spots already in just a lap and a quarter. To his outside, it's the 00 of Mike Koch. Oh, up the racetrack just a bit. The 39 of Gavin Hinson. Almost contact. There might have been some contact there with Koch. Koch keeps it out of the wall. It loses a spot, maybe even 2, maybe even 3. Meanwhile, Carson Quapple now in the 11th position, knocking on the door of the top 10. Quapple, up the racetrack. Casey Bentz into Mike Koch. Gets into Quapple. They go through the grass, but we stay green. Quapple spewing all kinds of grass and debris out the back of that number 1 Tracker Boats Chevrolet. Want to make note here, Quapple in the 1 tonight, a familiar paint scheme for Carson Quapple, not having his IROC scheme on tonight, so you'll see him as the 5 in the timing and scoring. Again, on a tape delay, that's something that will tend to happen if drivers are running in a different league the following night. It's only going to load whatever paint Trade-in Paints has available for them at that moment in time, so just so you know, Quapple's in the 1. Back out front, TJ Majors. A comfortable lead. About a quarter second back to Christian Strader, the pole sitter. 6 laps on the board now as Majors continues to lead in his number 6. Different colors on that race car this season. It was nice and battleship gray last season, but now we got the flashy orange, maybe a King's Hawaiian looking scheme. Everybody settling in here in the field. Single file now for quite a ways back. Dylan Pettis in the 3rd position, comfortably up 3 spots already. Started just outside the top 5 in the 6th position. Brian McCann in the 3. Brother Kevin in tow. Top 6 starting to build some distance from everybody else. The next driver in line there is the 7th place machine, the 31 of Zach Millett. Back to the bottom of the top 10, 10th place, Evan Vecchia in the number 17 topside, battling with the 24 of Andrew Williams. Vecchia is going to lose the spot here. Vecchia now trying to hold off the charge from James Connolly in the 61. James might be looking to the outside now. Quapple has regrouped. Back to the 12th spot now, looking for 11th after that contact that sent him through the infield grass. The car doesn't look damaged. Might have gotten away with one. Quapple back to where he was at the time of that incident just a few laps ago. Now runs 11th. Majors stretching his lead just by another 10th or so over Christian Strader as we start lap 12. Now Kevin McCann making some moves towards the front. Dylan Pettis, top of the racetrack in that red and black number 19. McCann didn't have enough of a run on exit of 4 there to swap up in front of Pettis. Remains side by side. We'll continue to watch this battle. Pettis really trying to work in that high lane, that Larson lane. Larson line, just a couple of inches off the safer barrier, trying to find some grip up there. We'll go on board here with Brian McCann. Driver's eye camera. Brian going up top side in behind Pettis, trying to run that same lane. continues to stretch his legs here now, 0.6 of a second just about over Strader. Battle continuing, though, for the third position. Dylan Pettis, Kevin McCann kind of swapping the nose a little bit there, but not able to get clear of the 19 just yet. Ooh, a little bit of contact, it looked maybe between the brothers there, Kevin and Brian. Either one of these drivers willing to give. Brian has a run off of 2. Going to go 3 wide into turn 3. McCann to the bottom of the racetrack. Brother Kevin up the middle. Look at that. Flying in formation through turns 3 and 4. Hanging it wide out. Brian McCann is definitely paying attention there while his brother battled with Dylan Pettis. Took full advantage with a big-time run down the back straightaway into 3. Picked up 2 spots in one fall swoop. So McCann goes from 5th to 3rd. Strader now starting to run down TJ a bit. Cut that deficit down by about a 1/10 or so. Plenty of time to go. Drivers probably just trying to feel things out, but Majors looks real loose there off at turn number 2. Back of the race car stepping out just a slight bit. Strader cuts down the deficit a little bit more now, under 4/10. See what kind of lap times the top 2 are laying down right now. Strader ran a 32:39. TJ ran a 41. Pretty close times. Strader just a tick faster, at least for the time being. Checking back to the bottom half of the top 10. Carson Quapple now up into the 9th position. Casey Bentz is 10th. James Connolly back in 11th. Andrew Williams 12th. Williams in the number 24 machine. Behind him, the 81 is Steve Durbin. No missing the Durbin machine. That thing is bright, bright, bright. Devin Aker back in 14th. 15th place is Kyle Campbell. Kyle Campbell runs some Cars Tours events. Familiar name to those that follow the series. Jason Nile just in 16th, trying to find his directions to get around the 03. Timmy Schofield back in 17th, and a big gaggle here behind. We got a little bit of contact behind these guys. They all straighten it back out. It was Zachary Cleek and possibly Neil Quick. Indeed it was. The 11 is Cleek. Neil in the 2 in the old Rusty Wallace colors. Brandon Mefford battling for position. Mefford, the number 83 machine. Silver and black, top of the racetrack. And Garrett Johnston in the number 47. Running in the 30th position, just ahead of Marty Lindley. Lindley in the number 15 on the timing and scoring. It's the 16 on the door. And as we said, you'll see a little bit of number mismatch, especially when you got this many cars out there. Lindley has dropped back a bit. Started in the 21st position, running now 31st. And then behind him, Chris Mefford in the number 46. Meanwhile, things have changed out front. Top three all mixed up. It was TJ Majors who had the lead, but then Christian Strader made his way around, and Brian McCann must have followed him on through because TJ's now back to P3. So Majors hanging on to that third position. He ran a 30.65 the last time by. Let's see if he's got an improvement now. Looks to be about the same, but Christian Strader running a 30.56. So as the leader with that clean air out in front, about a tenth of a second quicker than TJ in third. But Brian McCann right there in the tire tracks, the number 29, tenth and a half plus. Close enough to strike. We'll see if McCann makes a move or he's just happy to settle in there in second for a while. Plenty of time to go in this race. 143 laps the distance. It was originally scheduled 134, 201 miles, but again, being the replay, well, never mind that. The caution is out, and Marty Lindley in trouble. Marty quickly exits to pit lane. His day may be done. So into our first caution of the night here at Kansas Speedway. Going back to the lap count, again scheduled for 134 laps. Being that it's a replay file, it's going to load in and tell you the laps that the race actually completed in the replay sessions. Again, we'll steer away from those replays here as the season goes on into the end of this month. I believe the 31st will be our first race live. In fact, I'm confirming that right now. Yes, our conflict ends on the 24th. Zero X Strategy Series had the Tuesday night ahead of time, so they're going to finish out their series. We weren't going to make them move mid-season, so they'll have their championship at Nashville Super Speedway on the 24th, and then the 31st will continue coverage here at IROC. Again, Chicagoland Speedway for the Windy City 225. Field is on pit road. Again, only two sets of tires for this race over the wall. Strader's going to put rights on. I don't know if that was intentional or not. He's going to put 4 tires and fuel on. I don't know if I like this strategy call for Strader. Maybe he wants to keep the track position, keep himself up towards the front for now. He's going to have to pay for it mid-race at some point. They got lots of fuel on board in this race at 85%. Tom Janikowski in the chat. He's the only one saying, hey, tonight. I know we're on a delay, so that means all you drivers that ran last night, if you're not doing anything, let's hear from you, man. Just don't spoil the finish. I haven't watched the end of this thing. I don't know who won. I've been trying to keep my nose out of Discord as much as possible so I don't get any spoilers myself. Tommy was saying lots of cars, nice. I like the Larson line. There's speed to be found up there, but not a whole lot of room for error. So with that, 3 cars stayed out on the racetrack. Again, you see a lot of these drivers opted for fuel only on this pit stop. My guess is at least those top 3 drivers, Dylan Pettis, Carson Kvapil, Casey Bentz, my guess, their strategy is going to be, unless I need tires, I'm not going to pit. Might get this one waved off. Yes, pace car lights go back on. We're trying to get the order right here. A very large field, a full field here in the IROC Challenge Series. That's been a bit of the norm here as of late. Again, I think they sent 7 drivers home here this evening. Those drivers, William Reams, Josh Mears, Stoney Benfield, Shane Haas, Matt Kopp, Adam Benefield. One reason or the next, they did not make it into this race. It only took 40. I think Kyle Pendergraph also out. And Adam Pettit there in the 49. I don't know if he's waiting for a wave around. Very well could be the case. And Zach Millett comes to pit lane here on the one to go. This is interesting. Is he just going to top off? Nice and gingerly into the pit box. He's going to put left side tires on. It looks like on his pit stop he went rights only. I think he will lefts now. An interesting play here for the 31 of Zach Millett. He'll roll on out. He's going to be deep in this field as we get back under green flag conditions here momentarily. Dylan Pettis, Carson Kvapil going to lead him back to green as they roll out of turn number 2. Just over half a lap to go before we're back green. Pettit's going to take the wave around right now. Pace car comes to pit lane. And green flag back in the air. Rolling restart. They're not coming up to speed. They've waved it off again. I think they were late to give the wave around to Adam Pettit, so they're trying to make sure everybody can get caught up properly. We're back under the yellow flag here. It's officially our second caution. As they did cross the line before, I think they waved it again. Again, these admin duties get a little tricky with the large field. Want to try and keep everything fair. You don't want the caution to hurt somebody just because they couldn't get caught up in time or the wave around was late or whatever the case may be. So they'll go ahead, they'll add yet another lap to this caution, so it's technically 2 yellows now. Front row again will be Dylan Pettis and Carson Kvapil. Row 2, Casey Bentz, Brian McCann. Row 3, TJ Majors, Gavin Hinson. Pettis goes right to the bottom of the racetrack. I'm not sure if they're allowed to change lanes like that before the start-finish line, but we'll find out. If he doesn't get a penalty, then we'll know. Field cleanly out of turn number 2. Leaders headed down into 3. Pettis hangs on to the top spot. Kvapil running in second position. Brian McCann still third, right where he started tonight's race. Casey Bentz fourth, up 8 positions. Oh, one car way out of shape. I think that might have been TJ Majors. No, yes, TJ Majors in the 6th. Hanging on to the race car. Does not get into anything. Gets his way back up the racetrack. Just narrowly escapes the wall there. Gavin Hinson all over the back bumper will swap to the top side here, try to make a run, but unable to do it. Majors running in P6, trying to calm himself down here and get back into a rhythm after this restart, and a couple of scary moments here on that lap alone. 92 with Daniel Dixon. He's up into the 7th position, 18 positions forward from the drop of the green flag. Quick pit stop, fuel only for the 92. Now Strader in the 4th position, making a move on Brian McCann for 3rd. I don't think he had enough momentum to get it done. And it looks like maybe Evan Vecchia is in trouble. There he is, facing the wrong direction here off turn number 2. Caution on the Speedway for the 3rd time tonight. A little bit of nose damage on the 17, and that rear panel missing off the back bumper. So we're under caution for the 3rd time tonight. Dylan Pettis, Carson Quapple still your top 2. Then it's Brian McCann, Christian Strader, Casey Bentz your top 5. 6th place Dan Dixon, Gavin Hinson is 7th, Jason Nilgis 8th, Andrew Williams 9th, and TJ Majors in the 10th position. Some takers on pit road. Brian McCann stays out in last minute. Casey Bentz goes up the racetrack to avoid pit lane. Certainly some takers. About everybody from 13th on back, at least how they run right now. Came down to top off the tanks again. Maybe a couple of guys opting for at least right sides. Dylan Pettis, 12.1 seconds. That very well could have been a right side tire change. Again, something that iRacing just does not tell us, at least in the data side of things, is how many tires were taken on the pit stop. It'd be very beneficial if they could hook us up with that tidbit of data. You know that there's a way to keep track of it. Obviously, when the leagues limit the tire sets, iRacing has to keep track of how many have been used. There's certainly a way to let us know what's been used. I know we just had an update yesterday, but put it on the docket. Help us broadcasters out a little bit. Also, while we're talking about tires, why not? Why not let us use scuffs? It's another thing that the iRacing data does provide is how worn were those tires when they came off. Why not let us put them back on later if we need to in a pinch? So we're on the 1 to go here. Green flag racing the next time by. This time it's going to be Brian McCann in control of the field with Casey Bentz to his outside. Then Jason Nilgis, James Connolly in the 2nd row. William Tyndall, Kyle Campbell in row 3. Pace car heads to pit road. Barney with the green in hand. We're ready to go back racing here from Kansas. Oh, wheel spin from the 27 of Casey Bentz. Doesn't fire off, and he'll lose a couple of spots right out of the gate. Jason Nilgis to take full advantage. So will Connolly. Bentz will settle in 4th for now, but he's going to battle back on the outside. We're 3 wide in the 2nd row. Bentz now down to 5th. William Tyndall the bottom in the red and white number 62, trying to take the spot. Bentz will battle back on the outside. Meanwhile, behind him, the 83 of Brandon Mefford looking for a way around. McCann out to almost a full second advantage over James Connolly and Jason Nilgis. Soaking up that clean air. Neil Quick has had a moment out on the racetrack. I don't think it was too terrible as we stay green and the damage doesn't look terrible, but he's a little bit off the pace right now. Neil back in the 32nd position. Meanwhile, the battles continue here in the top 5. McCann, though, loving what he's seen in the rearview mirror. 1.2 seconds back to this battle. Connolly second. Williams in the 24 runs third. Jason Nilgis, Cameron Brownlow in 5th. Andrew Williams doing a good job there to get clear of all those drivers. Sole possession of the second spot. Watching his mirrors here, trying to work both lanes. Headed up the middle there for a minute. Goes to the top, sees a very quick 29 in Christian Strader. Meanwhile, Williams goes back to the bottom of the racetrack to close off the run from the 7 of Cameron Brownlow. Williams really had a mirror full of Strader there. We got a good battle for second now. Williams really under pressure from the 29. Strader has shown a lot of pace here tonight. And interestingly enough, while these two battle it out, they're gaining ground on Brian McCann. It was over 1 second just a couple of laps ago. Now it's just under half. Strader working the high lane and gets clear of Williams. Takes the second position back and sets his sights now on Brian McCann and running him down in a hurry. It's now 2/10. Williams trying to make the move here. Strader is going to quickly and easily take the top spot away from Brian McCann. Brian did not put up a fight here. Again, we're not even halfway here at Kansas Speedway. Brian's going to take care of those tires, take care of the race car, and let these guys fight on up ahead of him. He'll go back to P4. Maybe worse here. Zach Millet's joining the fray. Millet now up into the 4th position. Where did he come from? Remember, he took tires, went right sides only, and then came back down by his lonesome to put the left sides on. Thought better of it. Well, I might as well bolt on the next 2 tires and have a complete set of stickers. It's paying dividends for him right now as he's got himself into the top 5, running in the 3rd position now that he's cleared Brownlow. I don't really know if I like this strategy, though, as Millet's only got 1 set of tires remaining. If this thing runs green for an extended period to the end of this race, he's going to be in trouble. Took that first set awfully early. Again, about lap 37 for Zach Millet to put his first set of 2 on. See if he can hang on to it. Lap traffic, low side, up the racetrack, almost clips Millett. That was Chris Mefford up the racetrack, almost created the big one there with the top 5. Chris was trying to keep it down low on the racetrack onto the apron, but of course that's a lot flatter than the banked corner. It slid up the racetrack, back into the racing groove. Millett very lucky to avoid contact there with the 46. Millett now up into third. Still back about 7/10 off the race leader. Andrew Williams now closing in on Strader yet again. Those two were battling it out for positions prior to Strader taking the lead back from Brian McCann, but McCann has fallen back quite a ways as well, now into the 6th position, 2.5 seconds plus back from the lead. Follow up on TJ Majors, running in the 8th position. He was quick early on, started in the 2nd spot. Oh, some close quarters battle, the 35 and the 03 or 63. Or the 13, I can't tell. My eyes are not what they used to be. Let's close in a little closer here. That was the 13, Kyle White. And Kyle Hardy. Two Kyles fighting for the same piece of real estate. It's not enough that you got the same name, you want the same piece of racetrack. Carson Kvapil back in the 16th position, down 1 from qualifying. Again, just taking care of it, biding his time. Again, we're not quite even halfway yet, so no point in pushing the issue. He showed a little bit of pace in that first run. Then Dylan Pettis. Remember, he led a bunch of laps for a while. He was very strong out in front, but again, early on, might be just taking care of the race car. He's back deep in the field here, about mid-pack, 23rd. Pettis just trying to stay out of trouble. Meanwhile, we're going to have a battle for second here before you know it. Zach Millett has caught Andrew Williams. A couple of car lengths off the back bumper, maybe a little bit less. Car length and a half now to the 31. This is the battle for second. Williams has it. Zach Millett in the black and red number 31 wants to take it away. And better yet, I think he's looking past the 24. He wants to lead this race. You see it, Millett there to the inside. Williams going to go way up the racetrack, try to defend with a run out of the corner. And he does so. Millett tucks back in behind. Speaking of behind, 4th and 5th battling now Daniel Dixon, Cameron Brownlow. Dixon to the number 92 on the low side, gets clear of the 7 of Brownlow, so move Cameron back to 5th. These guys started really deep in the field. Brownlow back in 26th, Dixon 25th. Speaking of all that, Andrew Williams started 24th. Don't know if he just had a poor qualifying attempt, had an issue, whatever the case may be, but he is in a very good position right now. Second place behind a very quick Christian Strader, but also sandwiched between him and Zach Millett. Kyle White and Mike Koch battling for the 8th position. Kyle in the 13. I got to tell you, Brian McCann is just free-falling after getting out to a very healthy margin of a lead. Once he's gotten back into traffic, he keeps shedding positions. Brian now back in the 10th spot. Todd Kleek working his way up. I'm having trouble understanding this one. I'm looking at the live timing data here for Todd Kleek. According to this, it says he started 47th. My guess is he had a provisional to make it in, didn't qualify officially, or didn't lock in an official lap, because we only started, I think, 40 cars here tonight. Kind of getting into some uncharted territory with the size of these fields in the IROC Challenge Series. So many drivers want to get in on this league. Again, 11 seasons strong. This goes back to at least 2020. Chris Wally and the boys putting this thing together and keeping it strong all the way through. Kyle Hardy and Chris Quick. Kyle in 35, Chris in the 4. And behind them, Jason Nilgis, James Connolly fighting for spots. Dylan Pettis still seemingly comfortable back in the 23rd position. Dylan's made 2 pit stops. I think he may have taken a set of tires early in that first pit stop. He's made 2. Again, one of them just a splash and go. I think Dylan's out there just trying to make those tires last as long as humanly possible. Don't push the race car. Don't slide the tires. Just take care of what's underneath it, knowing you've only got one more set to play with. Chris Wally back in 27th, number 51. Wally started 30th. Chris Wally, the league admin for this series, league owner. The work that Chris puts into this, on top of being a NASCAR official and traveling and doing this and family and kids and all that, I don't know how he has time for it. He does a great job. Things still pretty settled here at the front of the field. Strader still leads over Andrew Williams, Zach Millett, Daniel Dixon. Dixon has caught Millett here a little bit. Couple few car lengths off the back bumper of the 31 machine. Taking a look at pit strategy so far, we are just about the same distance we were prior to our first caution. 28 laps on this stint, at least for the top 4 drivers. Look at Brownlow, though. He's been out there on 38 laps. Same for Brian McCann back in the 10th position. We'll have to see if we get a green flag round of pit stops in. We'll give us a better indicator of how much fuel these guys have on board lap-wise. Checking on Kyle Campbell again in the 03. He'll be the number 20 in timing and scoring. Kyle battling with William Tyndall, but no. Might have got the wall there. I think he did, because he'll lose a couple of spots here. Kevin McCann and Timmy Schofield are going to get clear, so Campbell's going to lose a couple of spots here, now to the 22nd position. TJ Majors quietly working his way back forward, working on a top 5 here as he battles with Cameron Brownlow. Brownlow way up the racetrack, though. Makes it easy for TJ, so move Majors back into the top 5. Straighter definitely the car to beat here tonight. Again, we're fixed setup, so this just must be a track that suits Christian's driving style because he has been fast right out of the gate, put it on pole position, certainly led the most laps so far. We'll take a look at that. How many laps? 27 of 70 so far. But since the restart, he's been almost untouchable. Almost a full second advantage back to Andrew Williams, with the battle for second shaping up yet again. Zach Millett trying to make a move here, finding a way around that number 24 car. Millett to the top into turn number 3. See if Zach will have a run off of 4 here. And he's got him clear, so move Millett to second spot. Swaps it back to the bottom though. Williams will go back up top, but not enough of a run to get there. Williams now looking low. Millett going to defend with a high line. Meanwhile, Cameron Brownlow will come to pit lane here under green flag conditions. Millett hangs on to second. Just past halfway here at Kansas Speedway, the Kansas 201 presented by Coles County Raceway. We're going to step aside, get an HBR Track Limits Network side-by-side break out of the way. Old habits die hard. It's been over a year at this since we switched, but stay with us, folks. You won't miss a minute of the action. We'll be back after this. Spartan Transportation and Spartan Logistic Management is your one source for all your shipping needs. 53-foot dry van shipments, auto transport shipments, full-service in-house brokerage, drop lot facilities, just-in-time deliveries to all auto manufacturers, facilities in St. Louis, Missouri, Kansas City, Missouri, and Indianapolis, Indiana. Spartan Logistics LLC, proud sponsor of the IROC Series, Kyle Steffens UMP Modified and Silver Crown Driver, and Gordy Gundaker, World of Outlaws late model. Visit us at spartan-logistics.net or find us on Facebook.
Need insurance coverage that's built for speed? Frank Yea's office in South Charleston has your back. Whether you're blazing down the highway, protecting the home you've built, or setting up a legacy for your family, we've got the coverage you need. Auto, home, life, fast, simple, and made for you. Scan the QR code on your screen now to explore all our services and start a free quote today. Lock it in, save it for later, or call us at 304-744-7700 to get started.
Back at Kansas Speedway for the Kansas 201, presented by Coles County Speedway. Kind of cool, a speedway sponsoring a race at a different speedway. It's one way to get your name out there. Check those guys out at Coles County Speedway. Ryan Rick certainly puts on a good show down there. Strader just continues to dominate here at Kansas. Millett running second, about almost 9/10 of a second back now. Real quick in the mix there. He's a lap down now. Quick still shown in the 15th spot, though, so they're lapping their way through the field here. Quick, the first car, one lap down, so if we were to catch a caution here, he'd be able to get back on the lead lap with the lucky dog. Remember, he had an incident out on track. I don't know if he just went for a spin. It does not look like he hit anything, but he had to gather the car back up, get back up to race pace. Strader still maintaining that 1 second advantage, which is kind of impressive here because Millett's on fresher tires than Strader. Unless, no, I think Christian took tires on his first pit stop. Now we got a battle for Pettis trying to stay on the lead lap. Pettis shown in 25th now. Pettis recently made a pit stop, though. He's going to make his way around Christian Strader, get one of those laps back the hard way. Oh, Pettis gets all sorts of crossed up. Chris Quick will come to pit lane the unorthodox way. Got a little squirrely on entry. And here comes the leader, Christian Strader, on pit lane. Zach Millett will take over the race lead. Strader in pit lane here. Let's see if he takes his tires. This would be his last set if he does, and he's gonna bolt them on. Final set of tires for Christian Strader. Right sides for sure. Sunoco Race Fuel will go again. Crew around to the left. So 4 tire stop for the 29. Christian Strader came in as the race leader. Now we'll see if Millett stays on the racetrack a bit longer. Millett way up top of the racetrack. No intentions of pitting yet, though he is off turn number 2. Stayed out at least 1 lap. You got to look at the lap times now. 32.92, almost a 33 out of Millett. His fastest of the day was a 31.10. Good enough to take the pole in the last race here. If you know, you know. But Millett comes to pit lane here as the leader himself. Locks up the rears just a touch. Millett so good getting on and off of pit road. TJ Majors will cycle around to the lead. Andrew Williams and Garrett Johnston coming down to pit as well. Millett makes the left turn into the pit box. It looks like Zach's going to put his last set of tires on, so they're going to run this all the way to the end on this final set. Green flag pit stops underway here at Kansas Speedway. Millett, 4 tires and fuel, down and away, 14.97 to stop. Williams about a tenth faster in the pit box. Millett's still going to beat him out. Now Daniel Dixon, Kyle White, Steve Durbin will come to pit lane. I just realized what this car looks like. Think Jurassic Park. That is all. Now Majors will peel off the racetrack as well. Cannot get used to this orange livery. All last season in that Battleship Gray number 6. Now we've got this orange one. $14.67, the pit stop for Majors, nice and quick. 4 tires and fuel for the 6. He's down and away. Lap 90 up on the board, so 54 to go. Brian McCann has cycled his way back out to the race lead. His last pit stop was at lap 70, so he is still due. Look at the strategies here again. McCann's been on this set of tires for about 20 laps. So he's not due for a while. Went 43 on that last stint. Christian Strader, who's been dominant tonight, 48 laps. Millett went 50. It seems that up and down the top 10 there, 50 laps seem to be the max. Again, I don't know for certain that Millett went to the extent of the fuel cell. But with this many laps left, they're either going to need to save. Well, we talked about it earlier. The scheduled distance was 135 laps. This would have been enough to get them to the end. But with the pending green-white checkered finishes that are likely to fall, pit stops will shake this up a bit. Likely. Unless we get cautions in between, these guys can save a bunch of fuel under yellow. Might be able to stay out and extend it even with the green-white checkers. We'll see. The thing is here, these guys didn't know that was coming. Remember, 135 laps. That's what they thought they were going to run. Obviously, it's in the back of their mind that they could go green-white checkered, but we really have had a pretty clean race here tonight. The mindset of these guys is, well, let's kind of gamble for no green-white checker because we haven't had any problems to speak of. Couple of yellows, nothing crazy. Technically 2. Well, I guess technically 3, but really only 2 for incidents. The second caution was just because we had to add an extra lap to allow the field to get caught up, tightened up 2 by 2 the proper way, plus get a late wave around in the right position. So really only 2 yellows for an incident, 3 overall. Christian Strader 1.6 seconds back, and it sounds like Christian's saving fuel here. Let's go on board with the 29 again and listen. Go. He's clutching the car. Christian just letting it roll into the corner on the idle. See if he does it here in 3. Same thing. So you can save a lot of fuel stretching it this way. So it looks like Christian Strader doing a little pre-planning here for the end of the race just to make sure he's got every drop available to him. He knows he's got one of the fastest cars out of the racetrack, at least in clean air, but here he is now rolling the outside on Brian McCann, though he does have an advantage for the grip level. Fresh tires on the 29. McCann stopped at lap 70, so he's about 15 laps older tires compared to Strader, as Millett's going to go around as well. So Strader back to the lead, Millett back to second, McCann to third. Carson Quapple there just ahead, likely to go down a lap here momentarily. Quapple saving fuel, too. He's on the clutch going into the corner also. Quapple back in 25th position. But Millett going for the race lead here on straighter. Bottom of the racetrack, the 31 is Zach Millett with 2 laps fresher tires and a little bit of lap traffic to get into the mix here. He'll take the top spot from the 29. I think that's the first green flag pass we've seen on the 29 tonight. So Millett now in the tire tracks of Carson Quapple. Quapple likely to not give him too much trouble. It's already 1 lap down. Millett turning on the afterburners a bit, a half-second advantage now, back to the 29 of Christian Strader as he just runs behind Quapple here. Also got to wonder here if Millett's saving fuel himself. Let's go on board with him. Yeah, he's doing the same. He's shutting it clean off. Look at that. Here, let's get this graphic out of the way. Watch the tack. Most of the guys are just clutching it. Goes down to idle about 2,000 RPM. His goes down almost to 0. Keep an eye on it. Watch the tack in the center of your screen. Yeah, he's shutting the car clean off. None of those guys got that car running through the corner. Well, we got a long stretch here. We've got green flag conditions, pit stops complete. Let's try to go through the field, at least our lead lap cars. Zach Millett, your current race leader, started in the 9th position, just recently took the top spot away from Christian Strader, who put the car on pole here tonight, having a very good race, led a bunch of laps. Still in contention for this. Andrew Williams started 24th. His car number, look at that, and has worked his way up into contention. He's been a strong candidate for the top 3 most of the evening. Had a battle there with Zach Millett for a bit also. James Connolly started 16th. He runs back in P4. Garrett Johnston in the 5th position. Johnston started very deep in the field, 38th. Mike Koch running in 6th, started 5th, having a solid night. Kyle Hardy in 7th as he comes to pit lane. The TJ Majors will take the 7th position away. Daniel Dixon just in behind him in the number 92. Kyle White runs 9th. 10th place Steve Durbin in the Jurassic Park Chevy Camaro. Cameron Brownlow in 11th. 76 takes the 11th spot away. That's Brent Butler. Dylan Pettis was very strong at the front of the field early on. Was deep about 23rd, 25th, or that range. He's probably taking his last set of tires tonight as well. Back into the top 15, 13th. Brandon Mefford runs 14th. 15th is Carson Quapple, who just went down a lap. Lap times have fallen off considerably here, and I don't think it's tire wear at this point. I think it's all fuel save. Zach Millett's last lap at 32.46 to his fastest 31.10. Millett still leads, but he's not getting all the luxuries of clean air that Christian Strader had early on. He's knifing his way through some lap traffic. And that green flag pit cycle has spread this field out considerably, and the leaders having to work their way through a lot of this traffic. So as they run right now, 13 cars on the lead lap. Dylan Pettis, the last car on the lead lap. Brandon Mefford, the first one lap down. So we get the lucky dog. If we were to catch a caution, you see Brandon there in the number 83 right behind Millett. Gaggle of cars behind the leaders. Carson Quapple, Brandon Mefford. They were side by side on corner entry. Quapple takes the spot, so move Carson up into the lucky dog now. Oh, almost some contact there with the 7 of Cameron Brownlow and the 45. I think that was Todd Kleek. Indeed it was. Meanwhile, Brownlow might be fighting that race car right now. He's sliding back just a touch, losing ground to those two cars just ahead. Cameron's last pit stop, lap 71. He's only made 2 tonight, so he may actually have a set of tires still sitting over the wall. I can't imagine he would have burned them both before halfway unless it was a mistake. That's why you see him dropping back, as James Connolly from P6 will come to pit lane. He's only made 2 stops, so let's see if he's got a set of tires sitting there for him. Indeed, he does. Connolly taking his final set of tires here late in this race here at Kansas Speedway. 31 laps to go. No, more than that. But about that. It's too late for me to math. 34? We'll go 34. 33. Whatever. You got a calculator. So our current leaders, Zach Millett, Christian Strader, Andrew Williams, I think they've made their bed, so they're going to have to stick with what they've got at this point. As Millett's going to try and put Pettis a lap down here. You know the 19 is going to likely try and fight this if he can help it. This is the 10th position he's trying to lap right now. Pettis had pace earlier, was battling with Millett for position at the time, but not the case now. Millett has the lane on the bottom. Pettis goes up the top, and Millett's going to get him a lap down now. So now the top 9 drivers, lead lap. Zach Millett, Christian Strader, Andrew Williams, Garrett Johnston, Mike Koch. TJ Majors runs in 6th. Steve Durbin is 7th. Dan Dixon is 8th, and Kyle White is 9th. So Millett enjoying a full second's advantage over Christian Strader in the 2nd spot. Still having to work his way through some lap traffic. I think there's cars just about on every section of the racetrack right now, so that lap traffic concern is not going to go away unless we catch a caution. But with 30 laps to go, it's going to remain here till the end. Taking another look at strategies here. Millett, 27 laps. since his last stop for fuel with 29 laps to go. I don't think he can stretch the fuel to the finish. We're going to see. Looking at Mike Koch there in fifth. He's 29 laps since he pit. Pettis is 39 laps since his pit stop, so he's going to need to start thinking about coming down for his final top-off in the next 10 to 15 laps. Pettis certainly will need a caution. Lots of traffic to work through. Straighter to the bottom there. Gavin Hinson was right to the back bumper of the 29 for a moment. Now Strader trying to make the pass on the 19. Pettis has proven difficult to get around. Hinson there in behind Strader. He might be on newer tires because he is awful racy behind the 29. Gets to the inside down the backstretch as we see Chris Mefford making a move to the inside on the 17. Oh, Strader up the racetrack, almost contact with Pettis. They're three wide for a moment. Brian McCann goes around the top. That's not for position. Brian McCann made his final pit stop here about 16 laps ago. He did have a set of tires at that point as well. 15 seconds flat was the pit stop for Brian McCann, but now he's just got to wait and see how the rest of this plays out. He's laid his cards down on the table. That puts Brian McCann back on the lead lap. No, Brian McCann in the lucky dog position. Millett now 2.1 seconds the lead as Strader struggling with this traffic. Andrew Williams now going to make a move. This is for position. The 24 wants to take that second spot. Sniffs the draft off Pettis. Might make it three wide here into turn three. He does. Williams goes up the middle looking for the second position with a lap car on the high side. Strader can't keep the throttle down. Has to check up and gives Williams the second spot. Williams made his pit stop the same time as Zach Millett, so they are on equal footing as far as the tires are concerned, depending on how abused they have been. So now a lap car between second and third. Williams going to try and stretch his legs here and put some distance between himself and the 29. Strader, who's been so dominant here tonight, may have just cost himself a win here potentially, simply by pitting just 2 laps sooner than the two guys ahead of him. And this runs green all the way to the end. I don't think there's much Strader can do. A little bit older tires, certainly caught up in dirty air. The lap traffic has not been a help either. Millett out to almost 3 seconds now. Strader not giving up, and neither is Pettis. Pettis is not willing to fall back and just let these guys go. He's running 11th. It's not a lead lap car, but he's trying to run down Brian McCann. He wants to get back into that lucky dog position, but McCann has it. McCann's about to put himself back on the lead lap, though, which would ultimately be a benefit to not only Brian, but also Dylan. See Pettis there just exiting turn 2. Dylan just trying to stay up towards the front. That way, if anybody else goes a lap down, he's as close as possible to take that position away. He wants to still be that first car 1 lap down to potentially get him back into contention. Strader going back to the whip, though. He's going to try and get that second spot back from the 24 Williams. Williams loses the rear end just a touch going up turn number 4, but hangs on to the spot. 76 of Butler there in tow. He's not a lead lap car. McCann has taken the lap back from Zach Millett, so that puts Dylan Pettis back in the lucky dog position. Coming to 19 to go. Millett still leads. 30 laps led so far for Zach Millett. And Dylan's going to come to pit lane. We talked about this. He was going to need to come down for fuel. Only shows my top 10 there, unfortunately, but Dylan will come down. I don't think he's got a set of tires left. We're going to find out, though. We'll watch the stop. Does it splash and go, or does he have a set of rubber hanging over the wall? Nope, splash and go. Leaders off turn number 2 down the backstretch. Williams still in the second spot. Strader unable to take it back. Still keeping him in his sights, though. Only a car length separating second and third. .16 laps to go for Zach Millett. 3.4 seconds the advantage for the 31. Millett looking for his second win on the season. Trying to close this one out. Looks like Todd Kleek in trouble. Maybe trying to come to pit lane. He'll get clear of the racetrack. We'll stay green. More lap traffic for Williams and Strader. Or is it leader traffic? As Butler was behind these two not that long ago, and now he's making his way around. Butler in the number 76. Almost a Dave Marcus throwback with those colors. Put a 71 on that thing and a I Love New York on the front of it. Maybe a throwback scheme to the Glen back in the day. Tell you though, Strader might just be saving something here, cooling those tires down the best he can, maybe give a late race run for that second spot. He hasn't been able to run away from Strader and Andrew Williams, still keeping it to a car length or two lap after lap. Strader really closes the gap there on exit. And we are slowing and we are under the yellow flag. Late caution here at Kansas with 14 laps to go. Chris Wally potentially the candidate. Car looks pretty clean. Maybe just a lazy spin like we saw to Neil Quick early on tonight. So, who bites on pit road? And you know what cautions do? They breed cautions. And we're down to crunch time here, folks. This one really could get very interesting in the closing laps. And it's about to start now. We're going to see who opts for pit lane and who doesn't. That answers the question. Carson Quapple's going to come down. And Dylan Pettis also, but that's really about it. Real quick. A couple drivers deep in the field here, not on the lead lap, but none of our leaders opt to come down, but Mike Koch actually will come down and pit. He's shown in 5th. Might be angling here just for a top off, knowing that we may run into some extra caution laps. Oh, but Pettis does have tires. He's bolting them on right now. I think it was left sides only for Pettis. That was 4 tires for the 19, so 4 tires and fuel. Very late in this one. The 19 could have put those on earlier, opted not to. Mike Koch was just a splash and go. Kyle Campbell stopped on the back straightaway. Maybe just trying to let someone go by. So there you see it, the iRacing pace car. Lights go out on the 1 to go. Will be green next time by. It'll be lap 133. This still would have kept us in regulation. This would have been a natural green-white checkered. So keep your eyes peeled here, because we're going to see some fireworks here before this one's over. Lead lap cars, there's 11 of them. Zach Millett, Andrew Williams, Christian Strader, Garrett Johnston, TJ Majors, Daniel Dixon, Steve Durbin, Kyle White, Brian McCann, Mike Koch, and James Connolly. Those are the 11 drivers still on the lead lap as we're set for a late race restart here at Kansas Speedway. Green flag back in the air. Some drivers spinning the wheels. Mike Koch up the racetrack, and we got a melee here on the front stretch. So caution will likely come back out immediately. Mike Koch spins the tires on the restart, goes up the racetrack in the fence, and a lot of drivers collected in this. So there it is, caution number 5. And it looks like Garrett Johnston may have taken the race lead prior to the yellow. We're going to find out here. iRacing will make sure they fix that very quickly. Looks like Millett certainly disagrees, and I think Strader does as well. And you hear it, or you don't. Millett's got that thing turned right off. Well, he did. Millett certainly not in a hurry. And there it is. He's got it shut off again. So Millett stays out on the racetrack. I don't know if pit road was open yet because he has yet to catch the pace car. He's not going to tap those brakes. He'll just let it roll through so the pace car can get back out in front once he slows down enough. So while we have an opportunity, let's go ahead and thank the sponsors again here. Fast Laps, Open Hearts, Beth's Shirt Shop, Coles County Speedway, R&R Racewear, Johnston Timbers LLC, 3 Wide with DJG, Charity Motorsports, and Care for Kids. Race recap so far, lap 136 of 143. Zach Millett still your leader. We've had 5 cautions for 9 laps, about to be 10 here, and 8 lead changes. So that puts us on the 1 to go here. Front row will be Millett and Strader yet again. Again, they made their last pit stops at lap 87 for Millett and 85 for Strader, so fuel still could be an issue. Taking a look at it, Millett's got 49 laps since his last pit, Strader at 51. These guys are making their pit stops right around this point in time. Obviously, they're able to save some fuel during these caution laps, but will it be enough to survive another green-white checkered? We're going to find out. It'll be lap 137 when we go back green flag racing, already into overtime. 135 was the scheduled distance. So here we go. Let's try it again. Pace car comes to pit road. Green flag in the air. Millett, Strader going to battle it out to the finish. So far, so good. Everybody through turns 1 and 2. And the caution is out again. Chris Quick this time in trouble. Not sure what happened here to the 4, but it doesn't look terrible. Maybe a lazy spin on the restart. So we'll try it again. Zach Millett has got to be scratching his head about this one. There you see it. That tack pinned down to nothing. Almost nothing. You see what Zach's doing here. He's running the shortest distance he can around the racetrack. Got that thing almost all the way down to the grass. Trying to save every last bit of fuel he can. I don't think he has any intentions of making a pit stop. We'll see. So Garrett Johnston going to fly by as well. He's just saving as much as he can. Johnston and Millett in the same boat in the fuel department, which is 2 laps to the good compared to Christian Strader. TJ Majors, however, he is 2 laps to the good compared to our race leaders. He has the most fuel, at least there in the top 5, but further down the line, Brian McCann made his last pit stop at lap 101, so we know for certain he is good to go no matter what we do as far as green-white checkers go. We can only do up to 3. That's the maximum amount allowed for this particular series. So Brian McCann, you never know. We could spoil this one. It's been fast. Started in the 3rd spot here tonight. Was a lap down earlier. Field crosses the line, gets the 1 to go. So 12 cars on the lead lap now with another wave around from the lucky dog position. It's going to be Zach Millett, Garrett Johnston, Christian Strader, TJ Majors, Steve Durbin, Brian McCann, James Connolly, Andrew Williams, Daniel Dixon, Kyle White, the top 10. Then it's Kevin McCann and Jason Nile just rounding out our lead lap cars. We got Darren Jones in the chat, the 217 from the Zero Act Strategy Series checking in. Thanks for saying hey, Darren. This one about to get wrapped up here at Kansas Speedway. It'll be lap 141 when we go back green. That's 6 laps past our scheduled distance. Front row will be Zach Millett and Garrett Johnston. Strader now will start behind Millett, which honestly is kind of a preferred position here. Seems the second place car on the outside lane on these restarts is at a significant disadvantage. Strader should be able to take full advantage of that and pick up that second spot if he's careful. Pace car's in, green flag back in the air to settle it here at Kansas Speedway in the Kansas 201. Strader unable to capitalize. TJ Majors, though, jumps up into the third spot. Johnston settles in behind Millett. They're single file off turn 2. Majors makes the move inside Garrett Johnston. Don't sleep on the 6. Millett with the lead. Majors loses the bottom, slides up almost contact with Johnston. Coming out of turn number 4, looking for the white flag. Zach Millett, going to be 1 lap to go here in Kansas. Oh, trouble behind. 1 car up the racetrack into the fence. I think that's the 61, but meanwhile, Millett will stay on the gas off turn number 2 with Garrett Johnston in second. They're wrecking off turn 2. Still trouble behind, but we stay green. Millett with a 3/10 advantage over the 15 of Garrett Johnston. I don't think he's close enough to catch him coming down to the stripe. Checkered flag is waving, and Zach Millett will take it for his second win of the season. Garrett Johnston will finish it in the second spot, and Brian McCann will take third. You talk about a guy that will not quit no matter what his race is giving to him. He always finds a way to come back. Didn't pick up the win, but a top 3 will do. Millett led 48 laps here this evening. Does he have enough fuel for the burnout? Well, he just let the clutch out, fired back up. There he goes. Millett parks it there in the grass on the race logo. What a win by Zach Millett, his second of the season. We thought he'd get it at Portland. It wasn't meant to be, but that'll wrap things up for us here at Kansas Speedway. Let's get into our race results. Zach Millett, your winner. Garrett Johnston comes home in the second spot. Brian McCann never quit. Brian McCann finishes in the third spot. Daniel Dixon with a solid run in fourth. Steve Durbin, a top 5 P5. James Connolly was 6th. Andrew Williams comes home in the 7th spot. Jason Nile just was 8th. TJ Majors drove it to a 9th place finish. He was in contention there at the end. He's the last car on the lead lap. Kevin McCann, 10th, 1 lap down. Christian Strader, dominant tonight. Don't know if he ran out of fuel late. Maybe that's what triggered the wreck, but he finishes 11th. Not the finish he was looking for. Kyle Hardy was 12th. Neil Quick finishes 13th. Casey Bentz was 14th. Carson Quapple drove it to a 15th place finish. Dylan Pettis with an unorthodox strategy tonight still has a 16th place to show for it. Brandon Mefford was 17th. William Tyndall, 18th. Gavin Hinson was 19th. 20th went to Jonathan Cofield. Kyle White, 21st. Chris Quick was 22nd. Doug Wysocki, 23rd. Kyle Campbell, 24th. Chris Wally, 25th. 26th place was Brent Butler, 27th. Todd Cleek, 28th. Timmy Schofield. Mike Koch was 29th. Chris Mefford, 30th. Evan Vecchia finishes in the 31st spot. Peter Ruzick, 32nd. Cameron Brownlow, strong early, but finishes deep in the field, 33rd and 33 laps down. Devin Aker was 34th. Chuck Sweeting, 35th. Josh Funkhauser, 36th. Adam Pettit, 37th. Zachary Cleek, 38th. Eric Hennig was 39th. And last but not least, the 40th position, Marty Lindley finishes this one out 118 laps down in 40th. 41st position points. Now, these drivers, 41st on down, they did not take the green flag here tonight. That was Kyle Pendergraft, Stoney Benfield, Matt Kopp, William Reams, Josh Mears, Adam Benefiel, a contender for sure, and Shane Haas. Those drivers will get a minimum amount of points for tonight's efforts. They did show up to try and qualify, but did not make the field for one reason or the next. Stay tuned for us here coming up soon. We've got more action coming up here at Track Limits. It'll be Sunday night, the Pro Sim, the PSRA Open ARCA Series. They're next up on Track Limits. Tune in about 8:30 p.m. in the East for that. Then we've got Zero X Strategy Series, the penultimate race at Gateway on the 17th. And then once again on Wednesday, a week from tonight, we'll be here the IROC Challenge Series yet again from Fontana, the Fontana 250 out at Auto Club Speedway for 125 laps. That one is always a fun race, whether you're in ARCA cars, Cup cars, it doesn't seem to make a difference. The place puts on such a good show. It's really a damn shame that they had to tear that place down. But we got lots of action here. Again, we're going to be off tape delay after Fontana. Chicagoland Speedway, the Windy City 225 will be live here Tuesday, March the 31st on Track Limits Network. Thank you guys all for tuning in here tonight. Thanks for watching. We'll see you at the next one. Have a good night.